Hello, and welcome to our podcast where the dark corners are. Is that your dog? Hello. I am Vina, and I am your Dark Travels hostess. Tonight we have a
road trip with the panda.
and a
In 1995, a team of paranormal travel podcasters found an abandoned cub in the haunted Arctic. After some kick-ass paranormal training and his first alien kill, he was ready. So, if ghosts, serial killers, or monsters in the dark got you scared, don't hesitate to call the Polar Bear. The Polar Bear.
Look how interested they are in your intro. We're at here throwing
he
games.
was dancing, and we're all looking at our phones.
We were doing our training montage. The bear training montage was activated. You guys were on your phones.
You guys were doing your B team dance.
B team. We're the A team. How dare you?
You're missing one.
You're missing one. What?
Oh yeah. So yeah, Samantha still doesn't have hers.
Oh yeah, no, I still don't exist.
When Sam.
And Sam.
Damn. And
Red
Sam.
Panda.
Red Panda
Ooh, that'd be
Sam.
cool. That'd be a good one.
You literally said that the
You
last
came
time.
up with it.
Did I? Yes. That's probably why I like the idea so much.
That's catchy.
Wow, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Who came up with that? Damn.
I'm just so good.
I'm just putting this out there. Did you hear Chewy's shout out at the very beginning?
No.
Hey, did he rough?
You forgot to mute yourself, and so when your thing started, it went dog, and I was like, I wonder if she realized she was unmuted.
No.
It was a ghost. It was a ghost.
think
Couldn't just
no.
play along with it.
Okay. All right.
It's fine.
I'll have to listen back.
I love it. I love Chewy. He always deserves a shout out.
He's chilling. He just likes the company.
Right.
He doesn't care for spooky.
So it's actually been a minute since we've all been together. We won't point fingers.
What? I got things to do.
I
I don't even have an
law
intro.
school's
Do
so
you need
important.
me? Right? Yeah.
Try to better yourself. How dare you?
I'm not. Not doing
She's like,
well.
I don't even have an intro. So do you need me?
Right, I'll just chap out. Like, you guys won't even notice I'm gone.
Anyways. All right. So tonight we're actually going to talk about a pretty. Shall we give you a minute?
I didn't know it was gonna make that noise. I was like, oh, it did
Turn mine
sound.
down just a little bit.
What number are you?
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like we all feel a little loud, but it's
So
okay.
loud.
All right. So tonight we're actually going to talk about a very, I think, pretty awesome topic if I came up with it myself.
But didn't research anything.
Oh yeah.
Shots fired.
You should have had some audio
Grab the
cues ready.
credit and
Right, this is such a good topic. I
This
thought
is-
everyone else should do it.
I'm your host. You should have came on to the game show way. Should have some buttons for some clapping. Oh, do you think you have one? Don't you? Not that one. Nope, not that one.
Ladies and gentlemen,
oh.
it's time for another episode of Serial Killers. Serial Killers. Serial Killers. Serial Killer.
But not really.
Well, yeah.
just
With
killers.
Sierra.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Even Sierra has one?
Wow.
You weren't here?
I forgot about you.
But there's your
Right.
Probably
Probably just cut it off
right.
after the.
Yeah. Not very smooth with that one. So yes,
my
we're going to
enemy.
talk about killer contestants who really killed it or them,
Or whoever.
someone. Killer contestants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of misunderstood the assignment, I guess, because mine was more of a talk show than a game show, but he was on a show.
Okay.
Oh, well, did he win something?
Was he on Where the Dark Corners Are?
A 25-year prison sentence.
25 to life. Well, yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. Do you watch game shows?
I used to.
What was your favorite game show?
Well, Price is Right.
Was Bob Barker?
Goddamn.
Price is wrong, Bob.
That's right. Right. Jeopardy. Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
Whammy.
Oh, no
yeah.
whammy, no whammy, no whammy. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I've never seen Whammy.
Really?
Yeah, seen
Well,
the
you're
other one.
I
Ukrainian.
think they
They
changed.
say
They changed the
foreigners.
name a couple times though. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was
because
a
now
good
it's called, isn't it called Press Your Luck?
Yeah,
That's what it was called,
Yeah.
not Whammy.
Well, I think it became whammy or something like that.
I think
Somewhere down
Wayne-
the line, or other
Wayne
way
does
around.
it now.
It's a shame.
They still do it?
Ukrainians.
Oh wow.
They just relaunched all kinds of them.
Yeah, they just like
Yeah,
to
they
remake
did.
them, which is fine. Those old ones are good. Like Hollywood Squares was always cool.
Can be funny, yeah.
Yeah, there were some good ones. I like the Nickelodeon game shows, like
Double Dare.
guess that, Double Dare,
Double Dare.
Legend of the Hidden Temple.
Yes.
that was my jam.
Where in Time is Carmen San Diego?
Is that a game show?
I think it was.
I know they had the computer game. Oh, I think you know what? I think they did try to shoot that. I
Yeah.
think they tried to do something with that, but then basically we just had the Amazing Race.
Oh.
Which is the Amazing Race is cool too.
I
though.
used to like Survivor, but that's not really a game show.
It sure is.
I watched the challenge, and I wouldn't say it was a game show per se. It's like a competition show. Like that's what we morphed from, right? Was like a game show where you were on a sound stage to like these huge
The
competition
audience
shows.
and stuff.
Like Fear Factor, but
Survivor's
Anyway.
good though. Don't sleep on Survivor. I haven't watched it in a long time though.
I haven't either.
It's still going.
Probably about-
It's still Jeff
Fox,
props.
yeah. Foxworthy.
Well, and now those ones and Big Brother, because I like Big Brother. I've been watching that forever. But now they take the contestants from Survivor and Big Brother and Real World and put them all in the challenge. So that's kind of fun to watch too, because you only saw them in like their Survivor world. So it's interesting to see them go into this other competition and see if they're as good at it in this other forum. So I kind of like that.
Right.
What was your favorite? Do you even have a favorite? Do you like game shows? Do you like watching American families win millions of dollars just by showing up and
Yes.
pointing at a screen? Show me the money.
I think Wheel of Fortune was good.
Family Feud's the best though. As of right now, with Steve Harvey. I don't know any, really too much of these new ones after that.
Well, Richard Dawson was the original.
The Kisser?
Yeah. He kissed everybody.
Hi, honey.
I like when they do all the celebrity ones.
Oh, those are
so
fun.
I don't mind watching Jeopardy if it's Celebrity Jeopardy
Oh, Celebrity,
or
yeah.
Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. And now they do all the singing shows too, where you have to guess songs, but they
Oh,
have all
Masked
kinds
Singer,
of
yeah.
Masked Singer. But like they do the lyrics one where you have to guess the lyrics.
Oh,
or
it
finish
was
the
like
lyrics.
Singing Bee or something.
Yeah,
or
all
used to
kinds
be, yeah.
of ones like that, and I kind of like that.
But how many of them have had killers, huh? Murderers.
Murder.
Great segue.
No one guessed murder for the top answer.
Survey says.
Survey says you did.
So, Polar Bear, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, you want me to start?
Yes.
Crazy,
so
because I'm
handsome.
sitting.
He's
in,
all quiet.
I
Out of
sat,
all the
He's
people they would
ashamed.
want on TV, it would be you.
I sat in the middle, so I wouldn't have to go first.
That's too bad.
That didn't help.
You keep flexing all the time, so
It's hard not to.
hard not to flex these sweet muscles. What's that? How's the Jeopardy theme song go?
Do,
We're waiting on you, pal.
That's perfect because Paul Curry
Oh,
actually was a contestant on Jeopardy.
is he the brother of Steph Curry?
He's not.
Oh, that sucks.
Not even the same.
Never stood a chance then.
Uh-huh. Paul Curry was a smart man. How smart was Paul Curry? Well, he was smart enough to win 2 out of the 3 Jeopardy episodes that he starred in 1989 before he lost his last match on March 21st episode. He was able to win approximately $24,000 in 1989. So to put it into perspective, that would be worth about $60,000 in today's money.
You could buy like dinner with that kind of money.
I could pay off some stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Put me on
Well,
Jeopardy, baby.
How much were houses worth in 89?
I don't know. I was like 5.
Okay, wait. How much did you say?
85
I wasn't house shopping
is it-
then.
Is it 60,000? How much was it?
He won 60,000.
60,000. We have our intelligence operative over there going deep,
Red Panda Sam is
digging.
Trying to do our time money converter.
Yeah.
well, he did that.
Well, yeah, I converted
What
the
we
money.
want to know is what the prices of houses were in '89.
What would it be now? So if it's 60,000, then
It's 60,000 now.
Oh, okay.
So it was 24,000 then.
Okay.
Oh, what the hell?
But I mean,
I mean,
houses weren't 100,000.
Yeah, it was 5 cents for a freaking.
So we're looking in the price range of just over 100,000
Okay.
in '89.
Okay. So you didn't quite win a house, but
You want a down payment?
A good down payment.
Yeah, a very good down payment.
Yeah,
low,
half of
low
one.
rate, low payments. Come on.
so
Too
yeah.
bad he wasted it.
This one's actually, I mean, I think he got his money's worth.
Oh yeah.
Little did the viewers know that nothing could stand between Curry and easy money. He loved easy money. So Curry met his soon-to-be wife Linda Kincaid in March of 1989, shortly after his Jeopardy contest. They met at a nuclear power plant where she worked and he just got hired onto. From what friends and everybody who knew Linda, the way they described her was tall, beautiful, and genuinely a good person. Paul, on the other hand, was described as short, not very handsome. The only thing he really had going for him is his intelligence. Like, he was the smartest guy in the room everywhere. And that's what ended up wooing Linda into falling in love with him.
Big woo, by the way.
Wooing. That, and he treated her like a queen. Like, he did everything for her, you know, honey this, honey that, you know, honeymoon stages. Linda was quite a bit older than Paul. She was 45 and he was 32. They got married. And they got married in 1992 in Las Vegas.
Did you just say Las Vegas?
Las Vegas. Them
Nevada.
parts, Nevada.
Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Everything seemed to be going fine in their marriage until Paul started to show interest in transferring all of their belongings, house, car, whatever, into his name, or making sure that his name was on it. He also tried to sign Linda up for $1 million life insurance policy. So, I mean, I guess no matter how much in love you guys are and, you know, how cute everything and how great everything's going, that's, you know, that's throwing out some red flags.
Want $1 million life insurance policy? Then
In
is a
89?
lot of money.
Yeah. So Linda told her friends about it, and they were like really concerned. Like, oh, I mean, we like Paul, but that's, you know, that's pretty weird. But I mean, that incident shortly got clouded by Linda finding out that Paul was really vague and never really kind of told her about his previous 2 marriages, and that he had a kid with his previous ex-wife. So, you know, she's like, well, there's trust issues going on and all this. So then Paul's like, you know what's going to fix our marriage? A cruise. So he booked him a cruise, go on vacation, and then was like, wow, that's really nice.
We're going to skate right past the hidden child. How do you marry a man and not know that he has a hidden child?
Well, in '89, I think things are a little easier.
But still, I mean, like,
You
he doesn't
can't
talk
track
to this
him.
child at all.
You can't find.
I mean, stranger
child
things have
support?
happened.
yes.
Have they?
That's crazy.
Just left, you know?
Like, did she even know him? Did you even introduce yourself before you got married, people?
He's very intelligent.
Got big brain.
He got big phone, big wallet.
So yeah, she was mad, but he made it up by taking both of them on the cruise. On the cruise, however, they both fell sick to the hantavirus, and them and other passengers. However, Paul made it through fairly quickly, but Linda took forever to recover.
Where was their cruise?
Actually, I didn't look it up.
I'm like, now I just want to know.
Well, now
Was
you
it
want
a good cruise?
Now you have a
Well, and like hantavirus, don't you get that from like deer and mice and like wild animals?
I don't know.
So like, how you get that on a cruise?
He brought his own deer meat. In fact,
I'm so intrigued.
Deer jerky.
You don't think mice make it onto the cruise ship?
Well, I'm like, did they go to a place that had a bunch of wild animals? I'm just intrigued.
I don't know.
I think if a lot of people had gotten it, it obviously came from the ship.
Yeah. I'll look it up. I'll let you know before the end of the episode.
Probably.
Allegedly.
As
So,
the
yeah.
panda would say.
He got through it fairly quick, but Linda was actually sick for a couple more weeks, and she seemed to be getting worse. But she just kept getting worse before she made like this spontaneous recovery, and everything went back to normal. So
Sounds like the poisoning was stopped being administered.
wow, why you gotta spoil it?
Because we knew it was coming. They finally put the smell or whatever in. What it was that they did that, the carb stuff.
You're talking to antifreeze.
Oh, yeah. I was like, you know that thing with the
cars.
A that you put in cars?
Tastes sweet. Yeah.
I'm like, I know nothing about cars, clearly.
So yeah, Linda fell sick once again on New Year's of 1993, and she admitted herself into the hospital. And while she was there, they didn't know what was going on. The doctor seemed genuinely concerned to where they went through all the tests that they could do, and they really didn't know what was wrong with her. And it started to go to the point like, well, if it's not physical, it might be mental. So they started to think, well, maybe it's in her head. Luckily, a nurse discovered that there was a puncture wound in her IV, or a needle puncture hole in her IV. So something was clearly fucking with it. And that sparked up an investigation. Obviously, she told people, and the cops started to investigate. And because they didn't know what was wrong with her, that made it really, really difficult to find out. But when she was interviewed, she was actually interviewed on camera, and the officers asked her if there was a possibility that somebody was poisoning her, or something was happening
Right.
to
Did
her.
you have an enemy, or
Who
would be
do it?
doing this?
And she was really reluctant to say, but she said if the only person that could be doing it is Paul, there's nobody else that could be doing it. And she really didn't want to believe it or say it, but she did. And Linda died June 10th, 1994, at the age of 49, before they could get to the bottom of who was doing what.
What made the nurse, I mean, obviously she was sick, but you would think that back then to find a puncture mark in the IV would have been difficult. So,
Yeah. But I mean, it could be leaking.
yeah, so I mean, it was like, I wonder if there was something
Right.
like that.
If she's being administered IV, like liquids from the IV bag.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Or if
would
it
be
was in the
leaking.
bag, maybe she touched the bag and she could feel the
Yeah, I'm
air
just
coming out of it or
intrigued.
not.
Like, I
don't know.
wonder how she kind of keyed into that, because that's literally like finding a needle in a haystack.
Right.
But yeah, she died June 10th, 1994, at which point Paul cashed out all the life insurances, all the 401ks that she had, and moved away.
How nice of him.
Yep.
Not suspicious at all.
And he ended up collecting over $550,000.
So half a
her-
million.
Yeah, from her death. And then they closed the investigation because they couldn't conclude what she died of. So, I mean, now that we read about it, obviously it's obvious to us. We know what happened. But back then, they were like, well, there's nothing we can do. But he didn't go crazy with like spending his money. He actually moved away and he worked for the city with building codes and building permits type stuff. But then he remarried and started a whole nother life. But
Number 4.
he had this nice wad of cash in his back pocket. So in 2002, Sergeant Yvonne Scholl of the Orange County Sheriff's Department was going through and reviewed the tapes.
You mean Yvonne?
Starts with a Y.
Yeah.
Yvonne. Yeah,
I was
okay.
waiting to see if we got a pronoun in there somewhere, and I was like, I think that's you, Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Sergeant Scholl.
Polar bear.
So then she looked through all the paperwork and through all the videos and was like, oh, we should reopen this.
Cold case.
Yeah, this cold case. And because of, and then, there was other things. Like he had no business working in the nuclear power plant. He didn't have any degrees. He was just smart. He didn't have the paperwork to, like the college
qualify
degrees,
for the
to
position.
qualify for the position. Oh, and then another thing popped up to where they interviewed his ex-wife the wife he was
Previous
married,
wife.
previous wife, she actually said that towards the end of their marriage, she started to feel dizzy and sick and
Had the same
didn't,
symptoms,
yeah,
it sounds
didn't
like.
know where it was coming from. And she's seen many doctors and took a bunch of pills, and no one really diagnosed her. After, because he started pushing her, he's like, well, you're really sick. What if something happens to you? Maybe we should get this life insurance going. And she refused the life insurance, and then shortly after, he divorced her and then moved on to
Poor Linda.
Let this be a lesson to all the married people out here. Hello, are you listening? If your husband wants a life insurance policy, make sure you get one on him too.
Oh yeah, that was the other
Like
thing
mutual
too.
assured destruction right here.
That reminds me, with Linda, he's like, we should get you this life insurance. And then he tried to convince her, like, I don't need one because I'm so much younger than you.
That's a problem.
Sorry.
Sam's shouting from the rooftops right now. This is a problem, ma'am.
Good.
So yeah, they reopened investigation, and because everything, because of the updated toxicology
Yeah, toxicology report.
report, yeah, they were able to find out that she passed away from nicotine overdose, even though she was not a smoker.
I did hear about this one.
Nicotine.
Did her fingertips turn yellow? I think that's a sign.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I wasn't there.
A prolonged juice, but you can give them rapid amounts of, because I just heard a podcast talking about nicotine overdose, and like when you give it in liquid form, you can give them such an insane amount that it's like equivalent to smoking like 1,000 cigarettes at one time.
Yeah, it's not the
like,
same as
it can
inhaling.
be super quick.
Okay.
Yeah, come to find out, they resumed the investigation and everything, and he was sprinkling tobacco because he was making lunches for her all the time, making her dinners and everything, but he was sprinkling the tobacco nicotine on her salad and stuff, in her salad dressing and stuff. And so that she would eat her lunches and get sick. And then finally, when she passed away, he injected her with a dose of liquid.
That was potent, sounds like.
Yeah, into the back of her ear. And she was also found. They found out that she had large amounts of Ambien in her system. So I kind of wonder if he got her Ambien and she passed out, and then he injected her with it.
Right.
So she wouldn't struggle.
Yep. So
they didn't cremate her. They were able to take her body and do these tests, or they're working off previous test results.
I'm not sure.
I would
all I
imagine
said was,
that when that poor nurse was like, hey, this is an issue, they weren't going to let him cremate her.
Maybe.
Because I'm sure someone like that's smart enough is like, no, yeah, cremation. That's what she wanted. We don't need to ask the family. It's fine.
That's what the paper said.
Right?
So on September 30th, 2014, Curry, being 58 years old now, was finally found guilty on charges of first-degree murder with special circumstances and insurance fraud. He was sentenced to a life in prison without the possibility of parole on November 14th of 2014. So 16 years he went without punishment with $500,000.
Probably didn't spend it.
Which in this day and age would be like closer to $1.4 million. So back then it was that much, but
Significant,
right now
yes,
1.4.
absolutely.
It's a lot, yeah.
What a guy.
I just love that the women came in, did the work, and of course it was this one female detective who was like, I don't like this. I'm going to fix it. Women can dig. We will find all the
dig.
skeletons.
Oh, gosh.
I would be a great PI.
Women
That's
can
my
dig.
future goals.
As her retirement job.
Oh, what is tobacco poisoning? That's what
Nicotine?
or nicotine. Tobacco.
Are you saying it as a question or as a answer?
What is?
It's his Jeopardy answer.
It's my Jeopardy
well, okay.
answer. Yeah.
Yep, you're
You
right.
can't make Jeopardy references to someone that doesn't watch game shows.
He looked
seen
right at me, and I could see it. I am fucked up. I was like, he does not understand this reference.
understood
And you
the
guys were no help, not even a chuckle, to understand that he could just fake through this.
I didn't even know what the hell you were talking about, Samantha.
I
got
did.
it.
I can
Yeah.
did.
What is tobacco poisoning? That's
You
all I
can't
said.
guess it after I already told you the answer.
I'm not guessing it. I know the answer.
I just told you.
All right,
God.
Panda, you're up.
Fuck that up. Mine's not as long. That's really not as long. Mine's pretty cut and dry, boys. There's no toxicology report. So I went with Family Feud. Everyone loves Family Feud.
Yes.
Steve Harvey was the host from.
Steve Harvey died?
No, Steve Harvey made it.
Oh,
He's
good.
alive. He's still alive. He still does it.
Living his best life out there.
He's fucking. He's killing it. That's the guy. I like the other guy though. The one before him. He had the beard. Kind of like the guy who did the. Kind of like the guy from Home Improvement. Kind of looked like him.
Oh, it was him.
Oh, was it the same guy?
Yeah.
Was it?
Al.
Is it really?
His name was Al on Home
On the
Improvement.
show, yeah.
But yeah, it was him.
Oh, it was him, huh? Good for him. I was like, those guys look a lot alike. Fuck. That cold case is closed. Either way, in 2019, Family Feud aired an episode with the Blifnik family. One particular individual named Timothy Blifnik is one of the contestants. He makes it pretty big on the show because there's a clip of him out there from Family Feud. As a lot of people make a lot of funny answers or wrong answers, and he actually makes it on kind of the Archive Hall of Fame of the question was, what was the biggest mistake you have made at your wedding? And he said, I do.
That's an ouch and a
That was his
half.
reply. So, I mean, in the video and stuff, he kind of goes, I didn't really mean, I'm sorry, honey, about this and that, but I mean, it was his first answer. So, I mean, I don't know. There's got to be some truth to that.
Some Freudian slip right there.
So, it airs in 2020, and it just so happens to be his divorce is in, and him and his wife, Rebecca, just happened to be divorced in 2021. At some point, he had also snapped from a previous episode we talked about, and he had become a little bit more violent towards Rebecca, and she would even text her sister stating that she did not feel safe around him. He was dangerous, and he was just kind of off the deep end.
So while they were still married, he was having violent rages against
I'm
her?
assuming there was multiple signs because they were married since 2009. They had 3 kids. So married from 2009, 2021, and 14 years of marriage. So what he ends up doing is he breaks into the house after they've been divorced, and allegedly he had been stalking her, and he sees that another vehicle is outside the house where she's living, and he presumes it's another man. So he breaks into the house and he shoots her while the kids are in the house. So he shoots her up to 14 times.
Wow.
Rage much?
Yeah.
Overkill.
So,
for sure.
and the judge even specifies when he's in the court case, which happened this year, he had shot her, and then he said, you have some problems. You shot her while she was on the ground. Not 1, not 2. And he goes through the whole 14 sequence 14 times while your kids are upstairs, snug in their beds, lying down.
You executed their mother.
Yes. He said, you're fucked up. And so he's sentenced to prison. So he's gone.
Well, that's where he belongs.
Right. He was sentenced this year in August 2023. And all the evidence is against him. He didn't call any witnesses. He didn't call anything against it. But he didn't also he didn't state that he did it. He still, to this day, he had a 60-minute episode that he didn't do it. But yeah,
He didn't fight it either.
They checked his Google to where he stated that or it's on Google how to break into a house with a crowbar.
So it's in his computer.
How to get away with what you did. So I mean, it's
Pretty obvious.
premeditated.
not even
If you
incognito
wanted
mode.
to leave the breadcrumbs for law enforcement, this is how you do it.
Right, but 14 times.
Did he
that's a
clear the
lot.
gun? The clip?
He might have had time to reload, 'cause, unless you load all 14 bullets into one clip. I don't know what kind of gun you use, but
I was gonna say because a shotgun you are reloading multiple
it
times.
was
to
a handgun though.
Right.
I don't think
Has
she
to
was.
be.
But she was found like the next day by her father.
and just left the kids there.
Yeah,
Wow.
the biggest feud of them all:
Disgusting.
divorce.
All right, Red Panda.
Well, I really wanted to do Rodney Alcala,
The
dating game murderer,
That you just say
serial killer, especially because he was born on my birthday. So I was like, oh.
Oh.
But there's so much there that I felt like we really could have had a whole episode on that.
right.
So I went a little bit different. I really liked this story when I heard about it. Not liked it, but I liked the awareness that it brought to it. It has been called the Jenny Jones murder, which is a talk show in the 90s. She was canceled, I believe, in 2003. We've also as a community called it the gay panic murder, which I don't love. And now people, especially now that it's been on trial by media as an episode, are starting to call it by its real name, which is the murder of Scott Amador. So Scott Amador was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was born to his father, Frank, who was a truck driver, and his mom, who was a housewife. Her name was Patricia. Shortly after they were born, they moved to Michigan, and then the parents got divorced, and he lived in Michigan with his mom and brothers. He dropped out of school and went into the Army, and he learned about satellites and such, and then he was deployed to Germany where he became an avid skier. And then he came back stateside on an honorable discharge and became a bartender. So they said that he was a very kind, amazing human, that if he had any other gay men that he knew of, because he was in that population, his brother in an interview said that he knew when he was still in the Army that he was gay. But if he had friends that were disowned by their family, or they have HIV, or they didn't have any support, he would take all of those people in and give them support so that someone cared about them. They said he was the kindest person in the entire world. But his life was ended on shortly after March 6, 1995. And what happened that day was that he decided to go onto a show, Ginny Jones, and the topic was secret admirers. So his secret admirer, or the secret person that he liked, so how do you say that? His crush, I guess?
Yeah, the person he had a crush on.
Right? His name was Jonathan Smith. So Jonathan gets a phone call that he needs to appear on a show on March 6, 1995 to figure out who his secret admirer is. He's super excited to find this out. When he walks out on the stage, he sees his good friend Donna Riley, and her friend, who is Scott Amador. He naturally assumed that he was there because Donna Riley had a crush on him. So he hugged her, and he hugged both of them, and he was excited to see them. And at that point, Ginny Jones looks at him and says, "Oh, Donna's not your crush, Scott is." And he looks at her and says, "Oh, you guys lied to me." And you can tell he's really uncomfortable when you watch the footage. He feels very taken off guard. They snowed him. He thought he was coming for a same-sex crush. They knew this whole time that it was going to be, or for different sex crush. They knew the whole time it was a same-sex crush. So you watch the introduction before he comes out, and Ginny Jones is like, how would you how would you tell your crush that you liked him? Would you send him a note and tell him in private in case he, rejected you? Would you tell him a different way? Or would you bring him on a talk show to tell him that you were gay and hope that he was gay too? Let's bring out this guy. And it's horrible to watch.
That setup is terrible.
Oh, it was gross. It was a total gotcha moment. This poor guy comes out, and he is just so uncomfortable. However, it doesn't excuse what he does later. So he comes out, he's awkward, whatever. That show's supposed to air 2 weeks later. It never airs because of what happened. So 3 days later, in the course of the next 3 days, I should say, Jonathan goes to the bank and he gets a gun. Scott has left a sexually explicit note. Oh, he goes to the bank and gets money. Sorry.
Yeah,
Let me back
That's
up.
not where they have the
What
guns.
kind of gun? What kind of?
I was going to let you roll with it.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
I was like,
Okay.
it was
Is your
different
name
back then.
Yvonne?
I have been teaching since 7 o'clock yesterday morning for 2 days in a row. My brain is just dead. Okay, so let's back that up. So they do that taping on that day, on March 6th. Within the next 3 days, Jonathan gets a note from Scott that's very sexually explicit. This also bothers him. It's in his mailbox. He then goes to the bank and withdraws money. With that money, he goes and buys a gun and ammunition. He then goes 3 days later to Scott Amador's house, which is a trailer. I don't know why that's important, but everyone keeps mentioning that it's a trailer. He goes there and he knocks on the door and he confronts Scott about what happened. He's like, "Did you leave this note?" And Scott's like, "Yeah, I did." So Jonathan looks at him and he says, "Well, I need to go turn my car off." So he goes back out to his car, he grabs the gun, and he comes back and he shoots Scott multiple times in the chest. So Scott dies immediately, obviously getting shot in the chest. How would anybody else live through that? And at that point, He said he was shot twice. So at that point, Jonathan gets in his car and he drives to a local gas station. He calls 911. And so you can hear this 911 call, and he says, "Hi, my friend just got shot. Like, someone needs to come immediately." And they go, "Who shot your friend?" And he said, "His name's John." So he tells them who it is and who did it, because, like, I think that he was hoping that they'd go get help, and it was such a, like, irrational thing. So the cops show up or whatever, and shortly after, Jonathan is arrested. They asked him why he killed him, and he said, and I quote, "Because he played a really bad fucking thing on me," and then referenced the Jenny Jones show, because he was just so embarrassed. And it was that was what they used as the defense, right? That he was so overly embarrassed, and that apparently Scott had detailed a sexual fantasy on the show, and that just contributed to his embarrassment. I mean, you have to think it's the 90s, right? A lot of people aren't closeted.
Right, homophobia is still a thing. I mean, even for Scott to come out on TV, unfortunately, he was opening a door of being abused by homophobics.
And shunned.
And correct. And then for Jonathan, who A, had no idea, B, was now going to be a target himself, because even though it sounds like he was heterosexual, it doesn't matter in some fucker's mind the difference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately, it sounded like Jonathan was anticipating being a target of future harassment that he did not bring upon himself.
Right. And I feel like he took all the rage out on Scott, where the showrunners really kind of duped them both. And, I mean...
So you're both bringing up good points that we're going to talk about, and we're going to address that. Because, like, you think in the 90s, I think maybe Ellen came out in the 90s, maybe. That was not a thing that people were coming out. They just weren't.
Right. And, you know, in reference to that show, and just going to point this out, when Ellen came out, her girlfriend or the person she loved or had an interest was an actress by the name of Laura Linney. Laura Linney did not get another job acting-wise for 3 whole years. And she was just playing a gay character. I don't think she's gay, but it doesn't matter. The fact that she was correct, this homosexual character that quote-unquote came out, Hollywood blacklisted her for 3 years.
And that's the environment we're in right now, right? So this poor guy gets outed on TV, and whether he's gay or not, if he's not gay, then everybody thinks you are. And to that, there's some level of shame there in this environment that we live. We're not as open and accepting as we are now. Do we have many miles to continue to run? 100%. But we've come a long way from where the 90s and early 2000s.
Right. And you said this was 89?
It was 95.
95.
Yeah. So it did not help Jonathan at all, but his father was extremely homophobic. So his father even says that he was humiliated by the show's taping, that he didn't want his son to think, or he didn't want people to think that his son was gay. And he even said, "How would you feel if people thought you were homosexual?" We don't care, bro. Like, if you're not, you're not. But back then, that was very much the perception, right? And you can see how this guy was so overly embarrassed that this gotcha moment could just make it almost unbearable. Like, his whole reputation's ruined. His dad's going to hate him.
Right. He's distraught.
Right. So he was quickly arrested on March 9th, 1995. After he made that phone call, he was charged with first-degree murder, committing a felony with a firearm. But the judge permitted the jury to consider lesser charges, including second-degree murder. The prosecution's case was simple, right? The embarrassment does not justify murder. He was still murdered in cold blood. He premeditated it by going out and getting the money, buying the gun, going to his house. But Jonathan, on the other hand, he had a couple different defenses. So first of all, his confession was thrown out because when he made that confession essentially on the 911 call, and then even when he made it to law enforcement, he had never been read his Miranda rights. He just was very forthcoming with that information. And, you know, due to the due process of law, because he had never been advised of his rights to not incriminate himself, they threw that out. But they had enough evidence otherwise. So the defense never denied that Jonathan fired the shots that killed Scott. However, they presented evidence that he had a long history of psychiatric and medical issues that decreased his capacity to make sound decisions. He had prior diagnosis of bipolar and Graves' disease. And so Graves' disease, because I didn't know this when I read this earlier, is a thyroid disorder that it's when the thyroid produces too much hormone. And that can cause anxiety, irritability, and sleep disturbances. So that could also show why he had such an insane reaction, because if he has this stuff that's making him super anxious, that might have just been way too unbearable, you know? Not that I'm justifying it still, but that does go into that. They also used what they call the gay panic defense, which to even say that that's a defense is just horrific. And ironically, it is actually a legal defense that states that an individual committed a violent crime due to temporary insanity related to unwanted sexual advances by someone of the same sex.
And he has Scott's letter.
And videotaped footage of him making unwanted sexual advances and talking about a sexual fantasy on a talk show. So that's what they're going to use, right? So since then, this defense strategy has been legal in some jurisdictions in the United States, but many states have now banned that defense. So Illinois banned the gay panic defense in 2017, but it's still allowed in Michigan. So proposals have been introduced in December 2021 in Michigan to ban that defense, and there's also a federal bill pending. So this is commonplace. It's acceptable. We use it in court, and we call it a justifiable murder. So the jurors felt sorry for Jonathan Smith, and they believed that he was a good person who was put in a bad situation, and I am inclined to agree that it was just a really bad situation and that these guys definitely manipulated that, these guys meaning the talk show people. So he was found guilty of second-degree murder in 1996 and sentenced to 25 to 50 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, right? That's a long time. Both families, the Schmitz family and the Amador family, felt that Scott and Jonathan were both victims of an overzealous entertainment show that exploited them for profit.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
They never aired it, but that it still happened. They still did it on purpose. They were still trying to get a gotcha.
The intent was to get that reaction out of people, to get the publicity for it.
Definitely. So in 1999, the Amador family sued the Jenny Jones Show using celebrity lawyer Jeffrey Figger, who represented Jack Kevorkian, which I thought was kind of interesting. Yeah, y'all know Kevorkian.
You guys know who he is, right? He's the suicide doctor.
He was a physician in Michigan who eventually was convicted of murdering after assisting in the suicides of terminally ill patients. So Dr. Kevorkian. So they attacked the Jenny Jones Show and Time Warner for creating an unhealthy situation that ultimately led to Scott's death. That trial was broadcasted on Court TV, and they actually went and won that whole situation, especially because they told Scott and Donna not to reveal anything to Jonathan prior to taping. So they couldn't give him a heads up. They told him not to give him a heads up.
They ambushed him.
They 100% ambushed him on purpose. So they called that fraud to get him onto the show. And then they also made sure to tell him that it was a secret crush, but never to mention that it was same sex. So they were definitely, walking him right in there. And because of that, Fieger contended that the show was negligent and therefore responsible for Amador's death. Their defense was that they had no way to see that there was going to be a murder somewhere down the road, and they had no obligation to ensure Scott's safety.
Okay.
So the Amador family won the original suit and it was awarded $29 million, but it was later reversed, which I don't know why, which is crazy.
They must have found some loophole or something and be like, well, they knew it was entertainment, so you knew what was getting yourself into. So she should have been ready at all times.
Yeah, but you're obligated to make sure that your guests...
It's a really hard line, I think, because it's hard to prove negligence. Negligence carries a really hard burden to prove in itself. And then Scott knew that he was ambushing this guy to some extent. And I'm not saying that justifies his murder, but he kind of knew that there maybe was going to be a bad reaction. He probably never thought it would amount to himself being murdered. But I mean, you're going to go onto any type of talk show, let alone one that's emotionally charged, and you can kind of expect that there's going to be some type of negative. Like maybe you go on there and someone just doesn't like you. And so that's at least negative. So I think there's probably something that they worked on in there. The other interesting thing was that Jonathan Schmitz verdict was eventually overturned because there was an error with jury selection, but he was retried and found guilty again and sentenced to the exact same sentence. And he was He was paroled at age 47 in 2017.
Jesus.
How old was he when he went in?
It happened in 95, and he's 47 when he's 2017. So he was
Mid-30s then.
mid-30s. The math.
20s. Yeah, I'm like, I can't math that right now.
Well, yeah, be 20. No, be late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is my case for today. I liked this case. You know, the game show thing, people get spotlight and they get money, and, you know, that one's always kind of interesting to see what people do with that stuff. But I thought this one was interesting because I think it's crazy that gay panic defense was legal.
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, it sounds like it still is.
In some places, right? And I thought it was absolutely crazy that a game, like, that just shows how bad media is, and that people will get you, you know, it didn't matter how they affected people's
Or
life.
who
They just
they
wanted to
basically
gotcha
sacrifice
Right.
for entertainment purposes.
for ratings.
Because their show is only an hour, but the harassment that follows the people that are participants, even unsuspecting ones, could last a long time.
And I don't think it's gotten better. You have a villain on a dating show, or a villain on The Challenge, or a villain on Survivor, and those people get death threats because people are so enthralled in a world with people that they don't even know that they're threatening so-and-so who's the villain on a TV show. It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah, that.
Oh, yeah,
the
Captain
baseball-
America? Oh, baseball player
The
too.
baseball guy,
I thought him
the
too.
one that cut the baseball.
Yeah,
you were telling us
fuck, I
about.
forget his name.
Yeah, we did an episode on it.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
Go back and listen to it.
yeah.
Well, even when you guys when we talked about the Star Wars thing and how horrible they
Oh,
were as a
yeah.
Jar Jar Binks guy,
Yeah.
and you know, so it's
I'm
just
that-
kind of interesting.
Oh, poor guy. People suck.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. People just fucking suck.
And
They
I
shoot
think
people. They fucking.
in relation to, you know, where we work, we've recently had a very recent incident where we see how crazy and insane people will behave, especially behind a keyboard, where they're now allowed to be anonymous or make up some bullshit name and create whatever facade and say whatever the hell they want without any accountability.
Yeah, keyboard warriors at their finest, and that's the problem with bullying too, right? Like I used
That's
to
like
be able to
anonymous
go
bullying.
home and hide, and now people can get to us in our own houses. We're not even safe there.
Or call your husband's cell phone. Yeah.
Right. And just absolutely hate you just based on what they think they see, or a snapshot into who you are as a person.
Right. In an unfair scenario.
Right. And then this one gets branded as the gay panic murder or the Ginny Jones murder. And it's like, let's not talk about Ginny Jones or
Jenny
give
Jones
her,
didn't die.
right, or give
Yeah.
her any more freaking like
do they get the
limelight.
credit? Yeah.
Yeah. And we're just not even going to talk about Scott. Like, let's say the names of the victims. I don't want to call it the story of Rodney Alcala. Let's talk about his victims. Let's name those people. Like, we never focus on that. It's kind of crazy.
Right. All right. So that is what we have for you tonight
Brum, brum, brum. You're welcome.
on Facebook.
We're going to Facebook.
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 He froze.
Polar bear just drowned.
You're always pointing at me.
He doesn't get to go to Family
You
Feud
get to
with
go
us.
first. You have to say Facebook. And then you guys make fun of me for being foreign.
Okay, Yvonne, calm down.
Make fun of for being foreign.
Okay, who's making fun of names now?
Ivana, whatever.
Yvonne. What is Yvonne?
See? Yes, we do have a Facebook page.
Facebook.
Yes, we do have a Facebook page.
What is it?
Facebook.
Where the dark corners are.
It's Facebook.com. You know.
What is it? So if you're curious or interested and like to join, send us a request.
We would love to see people go and comment. Maybe they had other contestants that we didn't talk about. Maybe we can do a part 2 if we get enough responses.
Right. So that brings us to if you have a topic or a serial killer or want Polar Bear to strictly take the lead and everyone else follow.
I thought we decided Panda was going to go next.
I am?
With his big brain and big ideas.
Big brain.
Anywho, if you'd like to send us that information or your suggestion, you could send us at where the dark corners are at gmail.com. Corners is plural. Final thoughts, Red Panda Sam?
I'm really glad it's not the dark corner, or that would get very chaotic. All the serial killers in one corner, all us normal people in the other one. I have no thoughts.
Panda.
I don't know. I want to go on a game show still. I feel
Which one?
Oh, which one though?
Yeah.
Family Feud. I think we would. Well, actually, it would be Legend of the Hidden Temple, because they were supposed to bring it back. But I
They
don't think
did for a second. It was not as good.
Yeah, which is kind of shitty. But I guess Family Feud. You don't have to go. You don't have to run around. You don't do anything. You just sit there and you clap. And if someone gives a bad answer, if I say a bad answer, you're all gonna be on national TV. You're all gonna be like, okay,
You'd be like,
yeah.
well, what the fuck? Who
This
raised this guy?
motherfucker, you're fucking done. You're lucky Steve's here.
All right, Polar Bear.
I don't know. Just thoughts about how money changes people. I don't even know if it changes people. They were just bad people to begin with, doing stuff
Right.
for
And
money.
Paul
right?
was doing things before he met Linda. Okay.
Okay, but if you were going to go on a game show, which one are you going on?
Well, I do like the Family Feud one, but I would love the opportunity to whammy. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy.
no
Right?
So, all right. So until next time, please remember, only the few can find the beauty of the darkness, which is why we hope to meet you where the dark corners are. All right. So until next time, please remember, only the few can find the beauty in the darkness. Shit.
We hope to see you.
Did you blink or were you just hoping he'd jump?
I was gonna because he makes noise. I did mute you. What was I saying? All right.
Find you in the darkness.
All right. I'll start this over again. Son of a bitch.